are. Good evening, everyone. It is 9 p.m. Eastern on my side of things. I think it was 8. It's 8
It's
where you're
8.
at? Yeah, it's 8 where you're at. It is Brian and myself right now. We have the others joining us a little later. They're all bozos. They're being a little late. But Brian, please continue with the conversation. You were talking about something really interesting.
So Wingbits is now in space. So
Yes.
there is a contest going on for who can name the
Here,
satellite.
pulling it up.
So William had, I think, the best one so far, which was Darkwing, right?
Dude, Darkwing, man. I hope it wins. I really hope it wins. If it doesn't win, I'm gonna be really freaking sad, dude.
Are you referring to the old like Darkwing Duck?
Well, yeah, of course. Like, yeah, you have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had to make sure on that.
Yeah, let me see if this works. I'm gonna try to share my screen.
Yeah, technical difficulties. We don't do that enough.
Can you see it?
Yeah. Now we aren't gonna have one of those moments.
Okay, so here's right. I hope not. There's nothing on my computer. Think is
on your computer.
Yeah, on my computer. So here's Wingbit's Twitter page. Oh, here it is, right here. Here it is. So here's the contest they have. Wingbit's DePIN satellite's now floating in the ether, but what's the satellite's nickname? And they talk about like, pitch it here. You have to retweet the post, comment below, and then like say why. And so I put Darkwing. Darkwing sits above us in orbit, supporting the Wingbits network from the darkness of space. Plus, the name sounds cool.
It's so cool. I gotta share the space.
Dude, imagine if it gets called Darkwing and I get the hoodie, dude. I want this hoodie. Look at this hoodie, guys. This is a sick hoodie. Look at that. Looks like some Illuminati type stuff. Man.
All right, I gotta. I'm sharing this on all of our socials real fast because it doesn't automatically do it. And you know, what's funny is we're all like very successful professionally and DePIN, and yet we're so cheap. We have yet to go
Premium.
and validate our.
We need to. We're doing that. I have the plan. We're doing that this week. All right, we're gonna get the DePIN Happy Hour premium, and then we're going to stream from the account, and then like retweet it from all of our accounts and everything, and just start doing regular posts there. I think that'll be helpful. But look at this hoodie, dude. Isn't this hoodie sick?
That is pretty sweet. It's got like the Darkwing Duck like colors too, like that midnight blue sky.
Yes,
you know, it makes sense.
Darkwing makes sense to me. It's like a dark protector in the sky, like perpetuating the network and helping support things. I don't know. I love that. So yeah,
cool. Somebody had corrected me because I said, "Oh, it's the first one in space." And somebody had told me there's another initiative on another project. I forget what it was, but I still think this is the first real satellite in space. It's so freaking cool though. I was so excited to see that. Did you actually wake up early and watch it or no?
No, I didn't watch the launch. I did watch the astronauts getting rescued though. They're actually landed right outside my town, which is sick. They're right outside Tallahassee, Florida, in the coast, in the Gulf of America. And that's where they landed, baby.
But they don't need rescuing.
The astronauts need rescuing.
I know. Yeah. Well, they were like on all being political, like we don't need rescuing. We don't need Elon. And then sure enough,
space. And then they took his help though. Like
yeah. Well, after they were supposed to be there 10 days, and they were up there 9 months.
Yeah,
I would have gone crazy.
I think it's a multitude of issues. I don't think it's like anything malicious. I think there was just a lot, like a lot going on, lots of different moving parts. You know, maybe there's some political aspects to it, but I think that I'm just happy they're home. I'm happy they're safe in their home. Brandon, what's up? We're talking about the astronauts that got rescued.
Word.
I love that. Brandon's like, word.
He's like, I got no comment.
Well, very happy they're safe. And I mean, you already said it. I got the end of it, but
yeah,
that was amazing.
Yeah, we were just talking about the Wingbits satellite in space, and it was really impressive. They want their community to name the satellite, and so I commented on the post. I'll show you the post here. And let me just share my screen again. Oh, look at Tyler is deciding to join us too. Tyler, perfect timing. I was just about to show Brandon the Wingbits post when they launched their satellite into space, and the name I proposed for it. I really hope it wins. I'm really, really excited. So here, let's do this.
Darkwing.
Yeah,
what
look
does
at
your
that.
hat say, Tyler? It looks like a
It's just a workout brand.
Okay. Aloe, is that? Yeah.
It's aloe vera. Yeah, it's the plant. Anyways, so this is their post. It's like the Wingbits DePIN satellite's now floating in the ether, but what's the satellite's nickname? ? And they talk about how like the winner of the like whoever's name gets picked is going to get this like really awesome hoodie. I thought this hoodie design was sick. And I commented Darkwing because Darkwing sits above us in orbit, supporting the Wingbits network from the darkness of space. Plus, the name sounds cool, and I thought Darkwing would be pretty sick. I don't know about you guys. I think it's going to win. I hope it wins.
Speaking of, at 5 a.m. this morning, I got a message saying my antenna went down. And I was like, I saw it when I got up, and I was like, oh my gosh, surely I'm not going to have issues because I'm doing a BYOB, build your own device, bring your own device. So I just went and unplugged it, replugged it, and it's back up and running.
Oh, the Wingbits antenna.
But it was nice to actually have a project to actually, the Wingbits antenna.
Okay.
It's actually nice to have a project that actually has a good dashboard that'll actually email you when things go wrong. You don't have to like go check on it every 20 minutes because that's like the one project I don't ever look at. I don't ever touch my Wingbit setup. Now Helium Mobile, I check like 4 times a day for whatever reason. So I just have too many stations.
Yeah, I have the same problem now. Too many stations. Too making too much money. It's a huge issue.
It's a problem. It's a problem in life.
Yeah, doing too well. There's such a thing as doing too well. I actually, speaking of setting up devices, I actually just set up the Nubula network device, the weather station today. Matt sent me one of the stations, and I told him I'd make like a video for it. So I did like a whole unboxing thing, kind of like filmed myself setting up. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. It just kind of sucks because it didn't have like this. How SkyX has like the tripod. Like you don't actually have that option with Nubula. Like you have to mount it. So like I had to go out on my deck and like find a spot, drill in there, screw all the stuff in.
Does it have like a tripod mount, like the screw and everything that you could just?
No, it's a straight up one. Like it's like literally a pole with like a little pad on the bottom there. And so I had to like do all that stuff. It came with a solar panel though, which I thought was cool. You didn't have to like buy a solar panel additionally; it just came with it. But other than that, it was really easy. Like I'm honestly kind of astounded how easy it was. Like I literally just downloaded the app real fast. It instantly detected the device. The app's clean. The UX is really, really clean on the app. So kudos to them. But it was fairly straightforward. Let me see. I just saw what you sent, Brandon. I'm looking at it now.
I didn't read it. I know that. I saw it earlier, but
I like that. I like DePIN is radioactive. What is this?
Anybody read it?
No, it's like 15 posts. And I haven't. You want to give us a breakdown of it real fast, Brandon?
It's horseshit. There, it's broke down.
Wow. I agree. Once you start diving in, I read like the first 2 posts. I'll share it on the stream.
It just makes it irritates me when there's like massive widespread generalization across a whole bunch of like intricate topics. And like, is there, like most things, is there some truth in what he's saying? Sure.
I think just from my early take, I'm just like kind of skimming through. I think he's got a point about the massive amount of like dilution happening with all the altcoins and everything, but that's not even like related to DePIN at all. He's not even mentioning revenues. Like he's not talking about like the real demand for this.
He has a point with tokenizing equity, but we've talked about that.
Yeah,
move it closer to a traditional model, but he's also then later focused on like inflationary aspects, and it's like if you actually look at business models, most of them are a hybrid of inflationary and deflationary. If you take the currency token portion of it, you take it into value and perspective of balancing supply and demand. But anyways, and he's a trader.
This is really interesting. So Rob from Demo commented and said, "You're trashing one of the only." Here, I'll share my screen. Let's do this. Jonah. Bam. So he said, "You're trashing one of the only categories in crypto where there's real revenue building from non-crypto customers. It's not a shit coin if there's genuine demand and utility." And he says, "If the token can dividend real revenue to token holders, then it's definitely not a shit coin. My point is that no token today does that because doing so would be illegal. The token with dividends would be an unregistered security. Need the laws to change." What are our thoughts on that?
It's not in the purest form of the law. That's correct, but it's not a formal dividend. It's a value capture mechanism.
Yeah.
What is a dividend? A dividend disperses value.
Yeah.
So if you do that inside of a utility token and the utility is generating or capturing the value of what the network is producing, you're doing the same thing without it being a security mechanism of producing value to someone. So
yeah.
Now I would agree on any network that is not recognizing and value capturing the creation of value into their token. I would agree with that. But then I would say you're flawed at a tokenomics from the DePIN side. So if they're not tying the revenue or the value creation to the token, then it's purely a speculative token.
This is why I've talked about like how we need to have different laws around DePIN tokens, like revenue coming into a token with token burns and everything, because technically a dividend, like you said, it's a payout to shareholders, a payout to people holding like that equity, which typically reduces the price of the equity, the underlying equity, because they take that, you know, that profit out and then give it to shareholders in the form of cash. Whereas in a DePIN token burn mechanism, the revenue is funneling into the token. It's not technically being passed on to us in the form of fiat, reducing the value of the token. Like you said, it's value capturing.
That is true.
Yeah. So new definitions essentially is what, like, I think needs to be like a completely new rule book for this kind of stuff.
Tyler, what do you think? You're awful quiet on this topic.
He's busy. He's working.
No, I'm in one of those moods tonight. I was gonna say the irony is that every time you issue more equity in a company, whether through a raise or anything else, you're just diluting the current shareholders.
Correct.
It's like no difference. Like, tell me you don't know what you're talking about. That telling me you don't know what you're talking about. I was gonna comment on to Jonah that it was an L take, but I just bit my tongue and held off.
That's not fun though. Don't bite your tongue. That's not what we're here for.
Yeah, right. Like
I mean, I agree with you, Brandon. Like it's very, very broad in general, which doesn't do a whole lot of benefit to anybody. I think there were a couple points that shouldn't be overlooked. Specifically around. I mean, there's no question that we're seeing a lot of the shitcoin shenanigans happening in DePIN. So there's that, and there are challenges around kind of what we've talked about on a few of the different streams around this multifaceted use of a token, which I think the space is generally starting to wake up and realize that doesn't work quite well at scale, which is certainly interesting. And I think that would be kind of a counterpoint to addressing some of those issues. But yeah, broad generalizations are never good. And ironically, the equity dilution works the exact same way to emissions. It's fundamentally no different.
See, but I think the whole reason he may have even put this up is to kind of like ruffle some feathers.
He's doing his job.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like he's getting people to come in, to comment, DePIN feels attacked suddenly. So everyone's up in arms. Hey, but I mean, that's how you get a discussion going. I think he made some decent point. I mean, not just decent. Like I like what you said. Things that shouldn't be overlooked, but he was just ruffling feathers, in my opinion. I love these.
Yeah. It seemed like a lazy take. Like after skimming through it a little bit, it just seems like kind of like a half-ass post where like he like says some things that like sound good and some things that like kind of make sense, and the rest of it is just misconstrued. It's like all over the place. And you're like, wait, what is he saying? He's just saying that like it's like a doomer post. He's saying, oh, it's all going to zero.
It's the classic crypto take.
Yeah, my
bags are much better than your bags.
But my bags, in this case, our bags are much better than his bags, though, right, guys? Like,
I think it's another one of those like it's sort of a lazy argument, because what he's saying to some degree is not wrong, but it's not that the DePIN model itself is the problem. It's sort of the token model that's been bastardized and maybe applied incorrectly, and so it's like it just doesn't really move the needle, because all it does is piss everybody off, but no one actually can think deep enough to say, all right, well, what's the actual signal versus just, hey, I'm trying to create problems. And so there is an argument to be made around, like we've been talking, this token challenge, but that doesn't mean you get to write off the whole model as being a problem. So it just doesn't do anything valuable.
How do you guys decipher different posts like this in between engagement farming and actually just an L understanding?
If I may go at that first. So we actually have a compatriot in the DePIN world. You guys may know him, Sal from Escape Velocity. He actually just wrote this post not too long ago, where he was in good faith criticizing token models in DePIN. He laid them all out. He mentioned some of the benefits and some of the challenges of each of them, and it invited a discussion. But the interesting thing is that despite that being a quality post, he got like no views on it because he's not ruffling feathers. So
Yeah.
it's like this game we play. You want to be informative, but it's like you want
Are
people.
you talking about the convertible debt post?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't that get like 31,000 views?
I think so.
No, I don't know if we're talking about the same one. I'm looking for it right now. Just give me one
If
second.
you get it, just put it in the private chat, and I'll share my screen.
Gotcha.
I thought that was the most well explained, thought out take thus far from the investment, or like someone in the investment community, around rethinking token models in DePIN, and it was super funny. I wish like I had a chance to pick his brain a little bit before he had posted it, because we were just talking on the stream the night before about kind of the same but different, and I was like, oh, all right, this makes me feel like, hey, we're not all crazy here. We're there's other people that are thinking this, but he did a really good job of laying it out with, kind of comparing. Like, I had a super good interview with the DePIN economist Jonathan, who was on last week, and we chatted yesterday. He's like, the reality is that we don't need to reinvent the wheel on all fronts. Like, we have a lot of great models in the Web2 space that already exist, that have already been vetted and work.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need to just completely start from scratch and redo all of this. And I'm like, that's such a great take. And Saul's point, which I think went mostly maybe misunderstood or just overlooked by a lot of people, was it was exactly that. It was like, hey, look, there's all of these various, whether it's different classes of shares, different levels of debt, mezzanine debt, whatever it is in the company. And so there's just, we already have this in the Web2 space. We don't need to reinvent it here, but we need to think a little bit different than just a single token model rules them all.
Yeah.
Well, there's always a little bit of truth.
You go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
There's always a little bit of truth in what these guys with inflammatory posts have. They always find that one little edge and twist it just enough, and you're just looking at it for the truth. And I've always, as a business manager, I've always dealt with complaints in that, hey, there's always a little bit of truth. 90% of the time there's a little bit of truth. And, we got to consider that maybe the customer is right occasionally. And token models definitely have room to change. And I asked the other day in our Telegram chat, I go, hey, do proof of coverage rewards and Helium need to go? Do we need to ROI out our devices and then just rely on carrier offload? Because all we are is diluting our own, token value.
Yeah. It's
just
funny.
Don't let anyone else join the network.
Right. We're closing shop, guys. That's it.
Well, no, you could bring a device online, ROI out through proof of coverage rewards, right? And then, carrier offload wins,
I have to agree.
Why not just give the hardware away for free then?
The way Sal pitched it, kind of.
Brandon, why not give the hardware away for free?
We will do that. That is the plan. It's a good way to force a supply side.
Having gone through a lot of this space for like years now, and just like having experienced a lot of like the bull. So like I used to trade, I used to be in a ton of stock trading communities, option traders communities, and like those guys. And there's a lot of bullshit there. There's a lot of people that didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. But I feel like when it comes to Web3 and like getting into like crypto Twitter and everything, I feel like it just like really like it like tripled for me, like the amount of bullshit I deal with, like just seeing these posts, and I'm like, these people have no idea what they're talking about, and like someone gets lucky, and then like everyone thinks he's a genius, and he's like, oh my god, he's the best meme coin trader out there, and I'm like, okay, well, like what metrics do you follow? Like what's your strategy? He's like, oh, I'm just in like these groups, and I just wait for the right tweets, and I'm like, what? It's kind of like, what's going on? So like it's really refreshing seeing takes like Sal's, because it honestly seeing a lot of the bullshit in the space has kind of brought me back to, I don't know if anyone saw my post today, my thread about like my passive income plays, and it kind of brought me back to dividends and options. So like I'm like trading stocks again, and I'm like, I feel so sane, like I feel like normal. I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. And I just felt like comfy a little bit. I was like, yay. So I don't know, I just wanted to say, I love seeing takes like Sal's. I do see the tweet here.
Share that
real quick. So I don't know if you guys see the comment from DePIN Nomad, because he asked the exact question that I wanted to ask you guys. So what's your guys' take on just paying out miners and stables directly proportionate to revenue. So
Yes.
yeah, like thoughts. I would love to talk
Yes.
about this.
Yes. Is that
Great
it,
plan.
Tyler?
Yes.
Well-
okay, great. Well, conversation closed.
No, it's a little
Someone
bit.
pissed
It's a
in his
little bit more
cornflakes this morning.
nuanced.
He's like, yes, yeah.
It's a little bit more nuanced. I think some version of that is great, where it's not necessarily directly paying in stables, but it's paying almost like a point that if you redeem it instantaneously, you get like a percentage of the stable. If you wait a little bit longer, it's a higher take, so on and so forth. But some version of that, I think, is a very interesting model that I think we're going to have to look at a little bit more seriously.
A variable conversion based on how long you own maybe the actual token itself, right? Like, I think that's also an interesting thing to consider. You know, basically like a staking mechanism of sorts. You know, like locking up your tokens for a little bit, such that when, you know, after you hold it for a while, you can get an increased payout. I don't know. I agree with you. I think there's certainly a lot to explore, and it would absolutely make the whole notion of explaining DePIN to somebody way stickier than you're getting reward points or something like that, right? It's like, no, you're getting USA dollars, bro.
Yeah.
So valuable. I increase in value every day, actually.
Can we not just put a button on wallets that just allow you to just get your payout in USD? You know what I mean? I'm sorry. Like, we could have a token, but if I push a button on my wallet, it should just auto convert it to USDC or something.
Yeah, it's called the swap button. Brian.
Automatically does it? Will it do that in Helium Wallet? I don't think it will. That'd be nice.
I don't know about Helium Wallet, but in Phantom Wallet, it's pretty quick, relatively
Yeah.
simple. See, the problem there, though, Brian, is that it becomes a taxable event because there's no like actual rules or regulations around like DePINs in America, at least.
It's taxable anyway, right?
And yeah,
It's
so
all
it's like do we
Yeah.
get it taxed as revenue? Do we get it taxed as capital gains when we sell? Like, what's going on here?
We
So-
did just get clarity from the SEC today that miners are not securities.
And so I saw that. So if DePINs are treated like Bitcoin miners, then that would make a lot more sense.
Well, they absolutely fundamentally should be, because
Yeah.
they are a proof of work. I don't care about the consensus.
Yeah.
The definition of what they do, they are a proof of work.
And miners are taxed on revenue, right? Like they're taxed
They are.
on income. Okay.
Yeah, which I absolutely actually think is fair. That's a normal business practice,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's certainly things you can do with that. Can we go? Can we double click into the stablecoin thing? And I'm going to be a pain in the butt here, which is like, what are we trying to solve for? I like the question, but I just want to go one step deeper. What are we trying to solve by bringing this in?
Forcing volatile tokens onto people that might not want them. Maybe, I'm not sure. I have to really think about it. That's like my initial thought.
I assume that it's ultimately like, how do you reward network participants for their percentage of demand side value capture? So that does take quite a few different shapes. Like, you know, if you plug something in, for example, like let's take the Helium example. You plug a network in, or you plug a hardware device into the network, people start roaming onto it. You're a part of whatever the offload is, but there's still like all the other mechanisms in place. Like the company had to go out and get those deals. They had to go and actually, you know, build the offload relationships with T-Mobile, AT&T, whatever it is. So, you know, I would think you'd have sort of a percentage take to whatever that is. And so it's a little bit more nuanced, but I think is it a better form of distributing demand side value capture to network participants versus a volatile token that's also used to bootstrap supply?
Brian, Quez, thoughts?
Sorry, Tyler's too smart for me. No, I would say that.
I'm not. By the way, I'm just saying that's
No,
the high level, like why one might want to do that. I'm not saying that is. I think it is a really interesting approach.
And that's the show, everyone. Thank you so
I'd
much,
say-
Tyler. Thank you.
Yeah, you know, like Helium's instance, without proof of coverage rewards, the network would be non-existent. You know what I mean? I think that they bootstrapped their whole thing for about 4.5, 5 years as they try to build it out. And if they went to stables, then nobody would be building. So
I agree with that. I think there's a lot of speculation that also fuels the speed at which the network develops, which for some people may or may not be a healthy thing. But It's powerful energy, and I think it should be used. And if it's being retained in this way, then that's also a really positive outcome, I think.
What about, so I know, obviously, with tokens, the early members, the early adopters benefit greatly, as the token accrues more value later on, of course, and you have the people like that started building your network of first or originally, they benefit greatly from that. And that's a huge incentive. So maybe like we keep that model, and then you have it to where once the DePIN network matures, you allow the option to do stables. Maybe that's an idea.
Kind of like KPI based rewards.
Yeah.
I think there is definitely a
concern would
challenge.
be breaking the incentives across.
Yeah.
So as soon as you start to do that, like what you really want to do is continue to align incentives for an outcome, right? So the only concern here would be if you start to break that, are you breaking an incentive model and aligning participants that have different values and different aspects to bring in that participation chain? Do you start to break that, which is really a psychological question, but it's a huge driver for an outcome. And so what would be interesting, Will, is your proposition of a selection, because now the individual is selecting which way they want to go versus feeling unaligned into the outcome, right?
Yeah.
So value capture is truly happening down to the token. Most people that are participating in creating a value, regardless of how, if they have their hand in creating the value, they're going to want to play in the value creation, right? That would be an alignment. So we all know that we have different pieces in that, which likely should be different outputs of what I achieve based on what I input, right? So those all have to be balanced. But if all of that is true and designed correctly, then you create an outcome in which you don't have individuals or participants that are disincentivized for some reason, which break a strong foundation of moving forward. So I was just curious. That's why I was double clicking, is like, by going to stablecoin, what are we trying to solve for miners? Because maybe there's something I'm unaware of. Is it simply a conversion issue? Is it that they're trying to establish their own business and understand, because it's hard to quantify speculation, right? A variable asset, it's hard to do that. And they're like, well, I need to be able to understand, if I'm going to buy 10 of these devices, what's my revenue going to be per unit? What what the problem is that we're trying to solve?
The problem is if you're a deployer, right, and you're trying to talk to a potential host, and you're going to get paid out in crypto, you're going to get paid out in that. They don't understand that, right? So a lot of people end up just converting it for them and then sending it over to them. So I think that is a barrier for a lot of potential people trying to have mass deployments.
I have a solution for that. We get Swift involved. Swift is going to be linked up to every DePIN, and they'll be processing all the payments.
That's interesting, Brian. Sorry, Tyler.
You're good. Sorry, Tyler.
Oh, no. I was just going to say that I'm not sure that the UX part is the overarching problem or the challenge. Like, I think it's multifaceted with respect to the maturity of the network. Like in the early days, you definitely need volatility in the token because you have to incentivize supply side participation so that you can actually get to a critical mass where you can start generating demand in whatever capacity that is. The challenge in my mind is once you've achieved that, is you've got demand value capture coming in denominated in fiat. And so at what point does there become sort of and I always use the phrase, like, there's an inverse value correlation between supply, like continued emissions that dilute whatever value capture is happening to the token for participants as their percentage of demand side capture. And so it's like, once that transition to that inflection point begins to happen, at what point do we need to maybe reconsider how the payout mechanisms work for whatever that value capture is? Because you can have either runaway emissions, or you just have this, like the kind of conflicting, like, as token price goes up, you can burn less, and so therefore, like, you create a perpetual holding pattern. You don't really get enough continued value capture to the supply participants. So I think it's the UX is a part of it, but my bigger issue, if you will, is like what happens at network maturity, or I call it revenue maturity, where you actually do have you need a way to create kind of a distribution platform to suppliers that doesn't create other downstream problems.
Wouldn't
for
more
tokens.
demand solve for that though? Like if you just kept increasing demand, like theoretically, I mean,
The problem is that with a lot of these networks, like you're in a lot of respects, token emissions are tied to some form of demand.
yeah,
Or should be.
or should be. You mean it's not just a shitcoin, Brian? Is that what you're saying?
Like there's other ways you can solve
Everything's
this
a meme coin until proven otherwise.
with fixed
Fair point.
with fixed emissions, like by a block reward that it has some kind of logarithmic decay. But a lot of projects don't have that. So you've got effectively a growing. I mean, like if you anyway.
No, that's a really good point.
Keep
Tyler.
going, Tyler. This is
No,
great.
Tyler, you're dropping.
This
You're
is what I
dropping
was trying to dig
facts.
into. Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going, Tyler.
I didn't even
Come
know
on,
what this
buddy. You're
shit
almost
is,
there.
bro.
Home run.
I'm learning here. You know, this is a fucking class.
No, I
for
love
me.
listening to Tyler talk, dude. He's a genius.
No, I'm just I'm just sharing what's on my mind.
Cooking is what he's doing.
My wife's going to the store to get me beer so I can have a beer with you guys because I feel like I need one today. I'm a little a little more agitated than normal for absolutely no reason.
Yeah.
Hey,
I
that
feel
seems like
that.
a perfect time for a beer, is what I'll say. If I
He's
guess
just
like,
texting
maybe-
her like, "Where are you?"
Tyler, don't get upset. They're turning on the printer.
Yeah, it's on the printer, dude.
Hey,
Hey,
that's what we need. Thank
rates are
God.
stable right now. They're gonna go down from here, dude. It's
They're going to stop quantitative tightening and they're going to go into easing.
I think they already did, didn't they?
They're reducing it, I know. Right.
There's typically like a 57 to 63 day lag on once they do before the markets feel it. So we're probably still.
What's reverse repo at? Does anyone know what the reverse repo funds are at?
No.
I'm looking it up right now.
All-time low.
It's getting low. It's like getting dangerously low, which means QE is probably going to start soon. Let's see. Oh my god.
I guess in the meantime, the point that Tyler made that I do agree with as well is that UX is not the entire issue, although it would make a lot more sense, I think, to the common individual. Hey, this, you could expect this much return on this investment, like for sure. He brings up an excellent point about the emissions. What do you say about projects who are considering like this dynamic nature that you described? And again, I try not to, chill too much, but one thing about 375 that I think is very interesting is that while we're getting the network initiated, we're doing a very like even spread all across, right? Like we want nodes deployed in as many places as possible. So regardless of where, like say, we're deploying in New York and LA, people are making purchases on the data, particularly in New York. The rewards at the beginning of this lifespan is going to be still like evenly distributed. But there's a point in time in the future, like when it's more matured, that we'd like to say, well, as the data is being purchased in New York, we want the nodes that caught that specific piece of data that was purchased for that owner to be rewarded, kind of have an outsized reward for that. So I guess that's like in one element of handling, emissions. A lot of these people are taking investments in owning a piece of, at least they're considering it as an investment. I would argue.
Yeah.
So, that's it. I think it would make sense in that dynamic nature. Do you think other projects will probably have to do something similar, like later in their lifetime? Or if you're like Conduit, you're already ahead of the curve and thinking about these things?
I mean, the reality of the situation is that like this entire thing has been one big R&D project that spanned like basically back to Bitcoin. And so it's not like anybody was stupid and they got it wrong. It's that we've had to try things, iterate, learn, see what the challenges were. I also don't want to undermine the fact that the UX part is really, really important. However, if the network economics are built on a foundation of sand, no good UX is going to be able to overshadow or basically save poor economic fundamentals. And at the end of the day, in a multi-sided market where there is like all these unique value relationships that happen, you can't fix your problem just with UX. So that was all I was trying to say, because I definitely don't want to undermine how important that is. But like we've learned a lot over the last few years. Like Helium's iterated a lot of different things, whether it was through their initial kind of burn and mint equilibrium or like multi tokens for different sub DAOs. Like all these things had to kind of come before other projects can say we can take what maybe worked, what maybe was a challenge, and then we can iterate on it from there. And so I like what you guys are doing at 375. Obviously, what Brandon's been talking about doing with Conduit. Those are the evolutions of learnings from all the projects that came before. I still don't necessarily know if we have it all figured out, which is why we have to keep trying things, and projects need to iterate and be willing to take some of those risks. Like Brandon and I've had this conversation a lot. Other projects that I know that are doing interesting things around the tokenomics, I'm like, you're probably going to see a fair amount of the market in the current market either not be super receptive or even bearish on this because it's different from the status quo.
Yeah.
But someone's going to have to do it for us to be able to push this forward and try kind of new things that are frankly better versions of what happened beforehand. So, they say settlers get shot and, you don't want to, or what is it? The pioneers get shot. So it's like, how much of a settler are you versus the pioneer? But we need both to.
So Brandon, is Conduit like breaking down doors and just taking the bullets, just like I'm leading the way, like kind of like the Terminator, or you're just like running through?
Look, this is going to be really. I love everything Tyler said. This is going to be very, very anticlimactic. Conduit is not doing anything innovative on our economics. They are tried and true from the history of true world economics. But seriously, we enter a token, but the absolute design and every mathematical component to it is nothing new. It's what's already been proven, shifting it into a new higher velocity paradigm. That's it. Now, Tyler's right. Web3 is not used to that.
Yeah, that's the caveat that I needed to clarify.
He's spot on. But mechanically, there's not a lot of things that we actually need to prove on the economics. What we need to prove is things like there is a supply and demand for the economy to start. But how it works is we're not doing anything creative. We just went back and said, like, look, don't try and break the things that aren't broken. Use them and carry them over. And who's really, ironically for us, the people that have like got this like that are the institutions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Capital markets guys. They're like, oh, I know exactly what you're doing. Right. And I know how to quantify that. And I know how to start applying my metrics to it to put value around it. And so it shifts that conversation. But to be honest with you, we're not doing anything that's like really, truly mind blowing. A lot of this is block and tackle economics.
All right. So to summarize, bearish on Conduit. Got it. Let's move on.
Yes. Very, very
bearish.
The humble founder, bro. Jeez. Love it.
Yeah. All I did was
get
a
podcast
book, guys.
with the humble founder. There you go, Brandon. That's your new podcast, The Humble Founder.
I think that's the disconnect, is that we've grown accustomed to sort of how things work in crypto land, which in most instances are very disconnected or disjointed from what exists in TradFi land. Yeah. And so I think it really crystallized in my mind how, when I was chatting with Jonathan, the DePIN economist, is like, we don't have to, just because it's new and exciting in crypto doesn't mean we have to reinvent the wheel on absolutely freaking everything here. It's like, we've already tested and validated a lot of these models. It's like, we just do it a little bit differently. Like his example was, an ERC20 is objectively a better way of doing like a loyalty point. He's like, it's that technology is an enabler, but it's like the fundamental model of how all that kind of works together doesn't need to be different whatsoever. He's like, it's just a better technological innovation. And so sometimes I have to hear things a few times before it really sticks in my brain. That was one of them. But
application is a big deal, especially in your example with the ERC20. It's like it's already been proven to work really well, and it's just a matter of putting it in this nice box that people can accept it in. So I think that's really cool. I had something else I wanted to say, but I just forgot it. And in the meantime, I'm gonna grab another one.
Nice. You need to get a mini fridge next to you, dude. That's what I got. I've had that for years, man. I learned my lesson. I was like, wait, why am I getting up to go get more beer? I was like, there's literally a mini fridge next to me. And I was like, I would just put beer in there and
I'll be back.
Feel over. Reduce the distance between the things that you love most, That's why my wife is across the house,
Mini fridge in the office is definitely an underrated value add.
Yeah. 100%. I honestly, I'm loving the conversation thus far, though. I would love to talk to John and pick his brain in private. I might DM him and be like, hey, make a little DePIN economics school for me, because I haven't taken an economics class in a long time.
The other fun thing I like about John is that he gets to test some of these theories, not like across the board in deep, because he made it really clear. He's like, we are a DeFi, we're like more in DeFi land than we are in DePIN. So he's like, there are differences, but they do get to test, and that's really what they're focusing on right now, is sort of the R&D application of different DeFi things and how they relate to DePIN. So I definitely, I'm a little envious of the fact that he gets to think about it, and then he also gets to apply it in different applications. I'm like, man, that'd be fun to be able to do.
But, well, so on the
maybe
topic
not.
Of, yeah, I know, right?
It's hard too.
On
It's really hard.
DeFi, it isn't DeFi super attractive to TradFi, like for a myriad of reasons?
I don't know. Is it? I don't think so, personally.
Well, no, like the concept of swapping stock for stock as opposed to going back to cash has been an interesting one. I've heard lots of institutional players like talk about and discuss.
But they can't do it.
They've talked about the possibilities of doing it. I'm not saying they can do it, and they said it's an interesting concept. But I didn't say they said they're like, that's very intriguing, and I'm like, okay, is that good or bad? They're just like, no, I don't know. It's interesting.
The tech is not where it needs to be for them to play and do what they do.
Yeah.
And until it gets there, which is going to have to bring in a whole lot more legal robustness.
Yeah.
They're not going to, it won't happen. Now, if that all comes into play, absolutely, because what they can achieve is greater velocity.
Yeah.
And that's the largest determiner of capital is velocity. How fast can you move it, right? So, I mean, that's why they're all excited about it, but they're excited from an ethereal perspective right now and watching, right?
Yeah.
And so when you asked that question, I was shaking my head because I'm like, I was referring to DeFi in its current state.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Not if it can get there.
Not what it could be.
Then yeah, I mean, you're going to unlock a lot. And I think that's why you have, a lot of the institutions like this, the Digital Asset Summit that it was this week in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. It's so funny. It's interesting to me that you've got some of the other, and I haven't gone to many of the conventions like you guys have, but I've heard of like, less numbers on some of those conventions. And yet the institutional one is just flying. Everybody is there because they can sense it. They know something's here, right? It's not prepared, but they know like if some of these things can get accomplished, there's huge opportunity.
Well, they're just hedging their bets. They're just trying to find who's going to be the winner at this point. It's got to have a platform with high trust, high security, because no one's going to go jump on there and bet millions of dollars in the traditional world on these DEXs and DeFi platforms. No one's going to do it.
And it's too slow. It doesn't.
Yeah, it's going to have to be very quick. Yeah.
They couldn't handle the scale that they needed to. That's I think the biggest problem.
Way. No way. So until that gets cleaned up, and again, you can prove velocity. It's the same thing that they went through as terms of the markets did when high frequency trading got introduced. That was a velocity play. That's all that it was.
Right? Well, not to change topics, but even if you look at like AI and decentralized AI, didn't like the NIST and FIPS come out with regulations and stuff for AI that they're trying to instill? Like that's going to be a big factor when you start looking at enterprise adoption as well.
Do you think with enterprise adoption is going to like stir up like certain regulation or?
No, they've already started.
Yeah,
they've already started implementing it. Like whenever Biden's, or I think it was Biden had an announcement on AI in America, they came out with, I think, NIST requirements and stuff like that they're trying to instill.
It was like the safety control thing or whatever.
Pretty much, yeah. I can. Let me see if I can find the article.
What am I looking at here, Tyler? What am I looking at?
Have you guys heard of this blockchain? Yeah.
Kita.com.
Their token is live, not financial.
I should buy their token. I'm buying it right now. I'm actually aping into it.
Okay, full port. Just
my wallet's drained. Actually, I just clicked that link, so don't click Tyler's link. You just drained my wallet.
Nice. I thought I could trust Tyler, but I guess not.
No, he's a scoundrel.
Tyler, what lawyer do you use? I forget what it's called.
It's actually Kita.com's lawyer.
No, they have a article on the NIST stuff for AI on their website.
My lawyer?
Fenwick. I think it was them.
Anyway,
So
this Kita thing was the only reason I sent it to you guys. It was like percolating through all my DMs the last couple of weeks, but they allegedly are going to be able to support 10 million TPS.
I see that. I was about to say 10 million.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, sorry, keep going, Tyler. I just like I'm like kind of.
You guys just it was like the only I'm not gonna put my brother-in-law on blast. He's like, buy this token, buy this token, buy this token. Didn't buy the token. He turned like a couple grand into like 102 weeks off of it, which is nice for him.
Where's our alpha, Tyler? When your brother says buy,
I didn't buy
you
it.
need to forward it to us and say, hey, my brother said to buy this token. I'm not buying it.
How many meme coins has Tyler pitched to us? And yet
I haven't pitched a meme coin in a long time. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since
5
I
weeks,
pitched a meme
guys.
Maybe
coin.
we get back in the trenches. Maybe we're doing this whole DePIN thing wrong. Maybe we all just need to load up Pump Fund right now. We'll all become meme coin traders. You too, Brandon. And it's gonna be a good time. I think this will be a good DePIN meme coin trading happy hour.
You know what's funny is
If you want to lose all your money, we can start that up.
I'll
help everyone lose all their money.
I will lose some of my money, yes, but I'll do that on options anyway. You know, I'm not going to do it on meme coins alone.
We had some runners though. We
did have some runners.
Tyler sent a few runners. Let's be honest.
I feel like we're like old men, just like we had some runners back in the day. Oh, yeah.
Back in my day, this guy.
Back in my day, Tyler was a meme coin fiend.
No. Yo, something I wanted to bring up earlier because we were talking about, and I'm sorry about bringing the conversation back, but I remembered it. Not having to reinvent the wheel. So there's this gentleman named Santiago Santos who is now running Inversion Capital, and the whole thesis, which I think is like super cool, is take these existing businesses that already have proven business models and are making money, and then put them on crypto rails. And I think, when I was hearing us talk about how a lot of things that already exist today, is coming from some other place, and we're just taking what's been proven and what already works. This to me seems like the obvious next step of, the onboarding of the next wave of people or whatever. It's like people are going to be using this technology and benefiting from it tremendously without having any idea of what's happening kind of behind the scenes. They'll just be able to feel the positive effects of it. And I actually would go as far to say that that's probably the most important benefit to technology. It's like people don't care. Most people don't even know how the internet works, but they use it every day. People drive a car every day, but they couldn't tell you how to change their oil, right? Like we are beneficiaries of these technologies so long as they achieve something for us that's better than how things were before. And I think crypto is going to be no different. So it's just going to come to us through the mechanisms that we happen to know, trust, and enjoy already. They'll just be upgraded,
Sorry, I'm looking at this Kita token, and
yes, I agree with that, Quez.
I agree. And
sorry, I would have sent it to you guys a couple weeks ago. It was the one time where he told me like multiple times to buy it, and I just.
Well, how did he make so much money on it when the price action's been just very choppy? I mean, it went from 17 cents, now it's still at 17 cents.
When it launched,
he must have did pre-sale. I was about to say
it launched at I think he bought it under. I don't know when he bought it, but all I know is that he made.
So here's the thing. Now it's like it used to be that your homies would come to you, the crypto insider, and ask you what to buy. It's not the case anymore. Now you got to listen from the outside in. Those are the runners.
Yeah.
You guys remember Chill Guy? Chill Guy was not crypto native. It came from TikTok. Yep. So this is the same thing. This is another. See, we went from meme coins now to.
So wait, is that where the next DePIN idea comes from? Is TikTok? Is that?
No.
Outsiders.
But so funny you bring that up. The next amazing DePIN comes from somebody who's been in the game, like in their respective industry for 25 years, and then realizes that the only next natural evolution will be through some kind of DePIN mechanism. But you didn't see that one coming. You didn't see it.
What is this, Brian? What did you just post?
NIST AI framework. Yeah. Okay, so speaking of the random calls from people, at 4:17 a.m. I got a text from my brother-in-law saying, "XRP, is it a good long-term buy or no?"
It's over. It's so fucking over. It's
Opinion?
never been more
I
over.
get those messages all the time too, dude. All my friends are like, dude, XRP, I made so much money on. Like, are you in this, Will? I know you're the crypto guy. And I'm like, I don't own any, unfortunately. No, I keep just saying that over and over again. And they're just like, oh, you should buy some, dude. And I'm like, I'm good, man.
But the SEC just cleared XRP. You know,
That's so
Ripple's
great.
to
Good
go.
for them. Good for them.
They're gonna change the world, guys.
I hope so. And hey, if I will eat my words. I hope they succeed because I'm not going to own anything. That's usually
Ashton
what
told me
happens.
to buy it.
It's usually what happens. I don't own any of the good runners. I just go, it doesn't sound right for me. I don't really believe in what's going on, and it just runs like 10x, 20x, and I go, yep. That's usually how it happens.
There is if it makes you feel better, I'm painfully aware of this. There is a difference between being right and making money. You can make money by being wrong.
It's so true. I've read that somewhere too. I read that in my master's program. It was like there's a difference between being right and making money. And I'm like, damn it, it's so true.
And that was my my brother-in-law. I was the one that got him into crypto about a year and a half ago or so. Actually through DePIN stuff, and he was just like, dude, how do you not have like tens and tens of millions of dollars? Because I'm like, no, 99% of it's a joke and a scam and going to zero, and so I don't touch it. But there is a metric F ton of money that could be made along the way. I just don't participate in it because I know that it's long term going to zero.
So are we long term going to zero then? Is it the consensus that we have, or what's the consensus here?
Is helium going to zero? We can just start breaking this down by projects. Do you think helium's going to zero? I don't think. I think we have 10 years at least with them.
You think we'll go to zero?
Well, no. There was interesting comments I heard where the telecom market is just a big race to the bottom. I don't know if that was here or elsewhere, but yeah, does that statement have any kind of hint of truth to it?
AT&T still around. They've been around for 100 years, right?
I mean, over a long enough time horizon, all companies fail. That's just a reality.
Yeah, it's
so
business cycle.
There has to be
the business life cycle.
I guess the government's going to bail them out.
Exactly. No, we don't have that cycle anymore. Sorry, Tyler. Brian's right. It is now we have businesses that are here to stay forever because anytime they freak out and get into trouble, like my favorite example is American Airlines back in COVID days. They should have went bankrupt. They should have disappeared, but they didn't.
COVID days? Like, what about 5 years prior to that? You ever heard the term "too big to fail"?
And now they're too big to save.
They're all just a bunch of Titanics.
Literally, dude.
Too fucking heavy. I'm dropping that shit, bro.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Can we
in all seriousness,
question?
Yeah.
Why is Buffett holding his largest cash position ever?
He's waiting to buy.
I think he's waiting to die. I think that's what it comes down to. They don't want to have.
He's gonna buy when he dies, Tyler.
No. I mean, in all seriousness, like I hate to go morbid on you guys, but Charlie Munger passed away not too long ago. Like I think I'm totally making this up just to be super clear. I have no strong feelings one way or another if this is true or not, but I would totally believe that he recognizes he's in sort of his end of life cycle, and he realizes that the entire market is going to just bleed when he does pass, and everything that he's invested in is going to suffer. It's going to like have a higher correlation to his investment than not. Again, could be totally wrong on this, but that's
so he's the black swan of it.
Oh, I think when Buffett passes, he's going to be a black swan for the market. Short, like
like couple
for like a couple days. Yeah.
It's not a proper black swan then, but
what?
Yeah,
I don't think we're doing like 20 plus.
Quiz is pissed. That's not even a real black swan. I want a real one.
Yeah, no, I
don't. If you remember,
we're all short
in 2008. Both the government and all of these companies were calling Warren Buffett to bail them out.
Yeah,
like he's almost transcended the financial ecosystem in the United States.
He's a legend,
even globally. just because of how much weight and impact he has. But
it's not just that; it's that what he owns is cash. It is not paper. Very, very little paper, I should say. Most of it is in cash-based businesses, which puts them in a very different position from a whole bunch of the other funds that are holding paper.
Yeah.
Well, and he didn't invest in anything that was like overly risky. He stayed with traditional investments this whole way through.
Yeah, he went with value stocks.
And that set him very far apart, and he's been more successful for that reason.
Like example, a huge part of his portfolio is dividend-paying stocks.
Yeah.
He only holds the paper to get the cash.
Yeah.
What he's doing. So like it puts him in a very, very different position economically and to the market, where we have a lot that's built on a house of cards.
Yeah.
The 08 was paper on paper on paper.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, have you realized that liquid staking is the exact same thing?
Yeah.
The exact same thing.
It's totally the same thing. I'm so happy you said it. Oh my God.
Like it is the 08 default of loan crisis, because you are taking an asset that is supposed to be doing a network and making it liquid and risky.
And making risky bets with the risky asset. You're making
Guys, we've already seen this play out. It doesn't end well.
It's volatility, learn of volatility, learn of volatility. It's volatility cubed. That's what it is.
And everyone's like, no, it's great. It's
great. It's so innovative. I'm getting sustainable 180% yields. It's super
margin
sustainable.
call.
Nice.
Super sustainable.
Yo, here's like something that I thought was crazy, and I'm not gonna be able to relay it the way I remember reading it, but this one guy on YouTube explained how money works here in the States, or I guess in the world. I don't know. Again, like the financial world. And he mentioned these things about like M1 money market and M2. Mind you, even now I still can't tell you with absolute confidence what all of these mean. But I remember watching it and seeing how this little bit of money has this much like value that is being speculated on what it could be worth. And then they take that speculative value and say, oh, I could take a loan against the speculation of what this thing could be worth. And it made me think exactly what Brandon's saying is, this shit is all a house of cards, bro.
Well, you have base money and you have broad money. So you have base money and broad money. So base money is the money that's printed by the Fed and created by the Fed. And what happens is the banks that get that money then create more money via loans.
Oh, by the way, they can create it. The banks can create it too.
Yeah. Okay, so the banks can create it too. So what happens is they create more money based on money that they have via loans. So you inject more money into the economy via these loans. And so it is technically a big house of cards because it's just loans on top of loans, propped by loans. That's all fractionally reserved, by the way. So like they only need to have 10%, 9% of the actual money there that they say they have to back these loans up. And so now, like literally, it is literally a house of cards. Like it's if you look at it, it looks like a house of cards.
Just send everything to zero, including.
And then when you learn about like credit default swaps and collateralized debt obligations and everything, this is how much of a nerd I am.
Or derivatives.
Oh yeah,
I love derivatives, yeah. It
just compounds everything. So in Washington they have a program where you can go to college early. So I was in high school and my first English class, I had to write a research paper and I wrote it on collateralized debt obligations and credit default swaps. And my English professor was like, I don't know anything that's in this. He's like, it read well enough. He gave me an A just because of it. But dude, as soon as I was like probably 16 or 17 when I started really going down the rabbit hole of learning that stuff, and I'm like, oh my god,
I could just see Tyler like, so I just wrote my paper on collateralized.
I have all like my college papers and stuff. I'll see if I can find it. I'll send it to you.
That's funny.
I know that high school teacher
calls you any name other than a nerd. They're just blatantly wrong. Like you should just own that to the highest. I love that so much that's so amazing. I did, because I know you want to say something. My attorney on the crypto side just said something the other day that like rocked me because it was such truth. You guys know what the largest export is in the United States?
You already told me this, so I'm not going to spill the beans.
Oh, I did tell you.
I know it, but you have to remind me. I think I know it. I think I know it.
Financial infrastructure, something like that. Yeah.
Any questions? Or any?
No. Just give us the answer because I think I know what it is, but I don't want to look like an idiot.
I said hope or faith.
I wish it was that.
It's not that, Quez.
Financial engineering.
Yes. There
That
we
was
go.
close. Yep.
To the whole point of this whole story of what you just and what you're talking about, Quez, the greatest export is financial engineering. Which is
It's like
why
it's the fluff, it's the smoke and mirrors. That's
whole
what
We're magicians in America. We pride ourselves on being financial magicians.
yeah, it shows, bro. I mean, like people get fucked all the time. It sucks.
So instead of a rabbit out of the hat, you're pulling like loans out of the hat.
It's a loan.
Derivatives. Hey, you guys want some credit default swaps?
it's like crack.
It's like crack. Put some
You
credit
got
default
any more
swaps.
of that?
Hey, put credit spreads over here. Put credit spreads. Anyone like those? Yeah.
No.
I like.
Guys, what if
credit
we do
spreads.
them on top of each other?
Then it's more
What could go
stable
wrong?
because you're
What could
stacking
go
it
wrong?
up. It makes sense.
A
More
CDO
weight.
of a CDO as
CDO squared,
yeah,
CDO
CDO.
cubed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
And
mean,
these are brilliant, brilliant economists and PhDs that said this is what we should do. And now the problem is they're running on the treadmill and they can't get off.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
The whole thing you can't fix it right now because it's out of control.
Fundamentally broken.
We have Dale McNeely rehypothecation to liquid assets.
Yo, by the way, Dale is one of my homies from my community. What's up, Dale? And if you guys are watching this and you want to follow someone who actually gives a shit about DePIN, like that's a great guy to follow. So check him out.
Hell yeah, Dale. Thank you for coming by. And we're talking about how all this is a house of cards and we're all doomed, so we should own.
Well, not all of this, not all of DePIN.
Not
to
all of DePIN.
clarify.
I'm talking
We're not
about like
all of
how
DePIN,
the financial
yeah.
system is all just a bunch of hocus pocus, and
So-
you just need to own DePINs and Bitcoin and call it a day.
All right, let's dive into an adjacent
That'll
topic.
fail.
Well, a quick
Go
side
ahead.
tangent to the adjacent topic, just because I feel like you guys will respect this. Fold app. If you guys are not already on the Fold app, I know Suburban Crypto is maybe going to watch this and be like, "Oh my god, he's geeking out." Yeah.
Show me the backside.
Dude, I know Brandon's about to be
There's
like,
a back-
dude, I'm just an advertising machine. I got everything right here. I'm just pulling shit out of my.
That was fast, dude. That was
That was
It's on my
incredible,
desk,
bro.
bro.
My wallet isn't even. It's like it's in the other room, bro. So
I'm just waiting for you to mention something else. I'm just gonna pull
But
it
you
immediately.
have the Flux keychain. That's right.
What? Wait, how'd you get one of those? I want
Deep
one.
in Day. Deep in Day, Seattle.
Wait, Flux was there?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Damn.
Now
What
you
is
gotta go
the
watch
goal?
it.
would
I
just
don't have.
say-
I don't have.
It's in a
Fold.
bowl.
I think that's the only event I'm gonna go to.
You don't
now
have
is Deep in
Fold?
Day.
Do you know
No.
what Fold is, Tyler?
No, I've never even heard of it.
Well, it's like a bank account in which you could buy Bitcoin or like
You get rewards.
You
in-
earn cash back
rewards
in
in
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin
Yeah.
or something
That's
like
it.
that. Yeah. Well, I
You get
just
Bitcoin,
opened one,
yeah.
and I have now 20% of my check going directly there and insta converting into
That's awesome.
the Bitcoin. Yeah, like being super aggressive, and yeah, so something to check out. Check
I
out
got the Fold card. My wife was like, "Wait, why do you need a separate bank account from me?" And I looked at her and I was like, "No, honey, it's for both of us." So I was like, "No, it's like for Bitcoin."
long term.
And she's like, "Well, do I have control of it?" I'm like, "Well, no, only I do. But like, I'll get you a card."
real.
I started digging myself a hole real fast.
Yeah, Tyler, you would like it though. I think you should check it out.
Yeah.
I have. I do auto buy Bitcoin on same thing as you through like with my paychecks, but I don't have this cash back on Bitcoin, so I need to.
I have the Venmo card for that. The 3%
Hold up.
cash back on Bitcoin.
Tyler,
Yeah.
you have paychecks?
I do legally pay myself something.
What's that like?
I get paychecks. It's great.
What's that feel like?
Yeah,
It feels good.
It's not.
honestly.
Just to be really clear, it's mostly just so I can get health insurance. So, if I'm being like really honest with you, it's mostly a legal, which is also such a
Wait, don't
freaking
you pay
racket.
less if you're not insured though? Like, didn't that TikTok video like, go viral? The guy was like paying way less, like when he was his. So
Health insurance advice from TikTok.
well, no,
with
no. There's a video on TikTok or like YouTube where this guy basically filmed himself calling the hospital where the ambulance had picked him up, I guess, and he was like, "Hey, you guys didn't put my insurance on here."
Oh,
And like they're like,
that.
"Oh, well, yeah, we're sorry. We'll add that insurance on." His bill actually increased, and they're like,
yeah.
"Oh,
True.
well, when you're insured now, we couldn't give you the non-insured discount."
And
Yeah, that is.
there's gag orders with like pharmacies. If you mention
And he's just
insurance,
like,
they
wait,
yeah, you're
can't
not allowed.
tell you the cash price.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
No, insurance is the biggest scam in the world. Insurance is the biggest
100%.
scam in the world.
Yeah,
Yeah. You would
You
not
know, it's
believe
the
what I pay.
other side of the money that we were just talking about.
I know.
Yeah.
Same
it is.
token, other side.
the fact that your health insurance is tied to employment is the biggest freaking crock of shit that's ever been invented.
Yeah.
Do you guys? Oh, okay. I'll give you a little nerdy history lesson. Do you know why health insurance is basically tied to your employer now? So in World War II, they had because they were going through rationing and all this kind of stuff. They basically fixed wages so you couldn't pay people over a certain amount, and so to incentivize hiring different workers, they started adding things like health insurance as benefits that they could pay you with without paying you just like a direct salary. And so ever since then, it has basically become the de facto that your health insurance is directly tied to your employment.
Yeah,
It's so annoying. It is so stupid. Own a small business, you'll find out how stupid health insurance is. Like the fact that,
Sorry,
I'm not going to go off on that. I'm not going to go into that because we'll be talking for an hour about how stupid small business insurance is. So
small businesses basically disincentivized to even exist because of things like health insurance.
Oh, well, because you're a small business with less than 200 employees, 5,000 employees, you pay twice as much, 3 times as much for health insurance for your employees.
That's ridiculous.
It is. It's crazy.
I've used JustWorks, which is a professional employment organization, and that's where we get our health insurance. So they basically, everybody gets hired to the PEO effectively, and like they represent all these different companies, and so they can get the same insurance rates as like a really, really big company as a result of it. It does create a couple issues, but in any event, that's what I've used for every company I've more or less. But
anyway,
but you do legally have to pay yourself something to be able to give yourself health insurance, which is
my dad like outsmarted the system. He basically just like somehow mooched his way like all the way to the top, and now he's like on Medicaid or Medicare or whatever, and he's just living life, getting dialysis for free pretty much every day. So
is he 197 years old?
No,
I was gonna ask.
He's 58. I'm not sure how he did it.
He's
but
way ahead of the game. He's got another 120 years left on Medicaid.
No, so my dad's so funny. He is such a hater on like these programs. He's just but he's the biggest user of the programs. He's like, man, Medicare is such a scam. Like I'm like, Dad, you're on Medicare. And he's like, well, no, it's different. I worked my way here. And I'm like,
Nice.
No, it's not.
Well, you know what? He can use it and still be, against it, going like, this doesn't make sense, or at least.
Oh, it doesn't. He showed me his bill. He got like a $20,000 bill, completely free. Like, didn't have to pay anything. Yeah. He's just like, he showed me. Like, he threw it down like a bragging thing. I saw him last week. He just threw it on the table in front of me. He's like, check that out. And I was like, what?
Well, part of the other problem too is like, you can go and obviously negotiate your healthcare bills. Like if you go to the hospital or something, you don't have insurance. But a lot of times if you make over a certain amount and it's not that high of a dollar figure, they're very disincentivized to try to work with you to cut things down. Like they will, but
But here's the secret. If you just ignore them, they go away.
No, they don't. They fall. Well, here's what's crazy. So I went to the hospital 4 years ago, and this was back when I was in Seattle, moved to Austin, and because of HIPAA law, they were not legally allowed to contact me. So I had like a $600 bill that I never got sent, and they were not allowed to call me because you can't call outside of the state that it happened in, which is the most asinine, absurd thing ever. So all of a sudden I get a credit report notification one day that I have this like $600 bill in collections that I had never even wasn't even aware of. Thankfully the government passed some law where when you pay a healthcare related bill that's been in collections, it completely gets wiped from your credit. So my credit dropped like 60 points and then went back 60 points after I paid it, which is awesome. I'm like, I am kind of glad a little bit of government oversight, but the way that we got there was just the most asshat backward thing you've ever freaking heard of. I'm like, how could you not call me to tell me I have a bill? Like that feels really, really freaking shady. But
I have the reality is anything you're going to apply for credit for, they will not hold medical bills over your head, period.
Yeah, they can't.
I paid it because I wanted to get I don't want to have.
Oh
a
yeah,
mark on
like
my
I
credit,
think
but
100% the right thing to do is, but if your insurance pays 75% of it and they're still after you for thousands upon thousands upon thousands, and the cash price is well below it, don't sweat it. Don't ruin your family's life and financial security over paying a medical bill. So I have a child with a genetic predisposition for cancer, and he has to do screening every 3 months, and it's thousands of dollars every 3 months. So not fun. So anyway, there's my personal life. So question. Who thinks there's still gold in Fort Knox?
Like,
this has been the
Is there-
most
is there a
interesting
Fort Knox?
episode of the Deep in Happy Hour. We're like,
I know.
we're going on all the tangents. I
I like
love
this.
it.
I like
All
the
the
conspiracy
tangents.
rabbit hole. I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
conspiracy rabbit hole. We were down there. We were talking about finances and
Let's be honest. If you're in crypto, you've got a tinge of conspiracy theorists in
do.
you because,
Of course.
you're.
Yeah, of course.
it's
don't
about
trust
90 days from
Tyler-
conspiracy to reality, though. Right now,
you imagine it, and then suddenly it becomes real.
That is true. That is shortened. It used to be 6 to 12 months, and that
Sure.
window's gotten a lot less.
Wait, they're checking in 90 days. They're auditing it.
no. Well, Trump talked about it. He said he's going to open it up.
We're gonna open up Fort Knox.
I
Don't we deserve to know?
I feel like
There's
that's
a lot of gold in here.
Yeah, but if
Supposedly.
the gold number
The
doesn't
most
match whatever
beautiful
they think
gold,
is,
the best
I mean,
gold.
you talk about black swan events.
Oh, that'd be
I'm not saying
crazy.
this
That'd
is
be
going
like
to be a black
insane
swan,
if
but
there
it's
was
gonna
no
create a
gold
lot
in
of
there.
problems.
Tyler told me this. Why were they moving so much gold out of London to the United States in the last 4 months?
There will be one golden hardware
That's,
wall.
I like Dale's. I like Dale's comment. There'll be one golden hardware wall of the BTC and Knox. It's gonna be the best hardware wall you've ever seen. Gold plated.
All of Fort Knox
Created itself.
Bejeweled, bedazzled.
Goated comment, Dale. Thank you. We needed that.
Yep.
Nice. Do I think there's still gold? I am afraid if there's not. But at the same time, like you listen to a lot of the stories that people talk about on Twitter, these like people that should have access, whether they're elected officials or whatever, being denied, being told that no, this is a military zone, like you can't come in here. I think that whenever there's a persistence in hiding stuff or like keeping a barrier from people to see things for themselves is a really big red flag. I'm not going to speculate on whether it's because there's more or less or none or a bunch of it.
The Epstein files being released the day that what's his face was going to become the head of the FBI. Case in point.
Yep. I mean, we got the JFK files released also.
kind of.
Kind of. It's like this. It's
Right,
like
yeah.
it was a big nothing burger. Like there was a couple things that were revealed, but nothing crazy.
Yeah, but nothing in there was beyond any of the conspiracies that have already existed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was literally nothing new from what had already been speculated or thought, right?
I love seeing the suicide in there too. The quote suicide from that one agent who was like terrified, and they're like, "Oh, he killed himself 6 months later." Weird, right? It's like, yeah, strange.
Crazy.
So, did people just like if you have an opposition like viewpoint, you're obviously have a mental illness. Like if you are very skeptical or you're outwardly exploring opposite ideas to those counterparties like Clinton or other people, and all of a sudden you just like kill yourself. It's like I don't know, man. These people got problems. They should be seeking help.
Did you guys hear that?
Especially when you shoot
story of
yourself
that-
3 times in the head. That's
Well,
The first two didn't really finish the
Finish
job.
the
I had to go
job.
back for the final.
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. He clearly had problems. The guy that called Clinton out. He clearly had issues. I think it was twice actually. He shot himself in the head twice.
with a shotgun.
oh, that's so good.
That's so funny.
Not
That's what I'm
the part
saying.
about the shooting.
He's got problems, guys. I mean, it's that literally anyone who's watching
No.
this, if you are feeling some type of way, make sure you reach out.
Yes.
If you have any kind of conspiracy thoughts around the Clintons or anything, please reach out for help.
Don't
It's-
voice them publicly.
Yeah, don't voice them publicly.
Voice them
I'm a
publicly.
big supporter of the Clintons. I love the Clintons actually. Now that we're talking about it, and I also don't
I
have
couldn't
any
tell if that was a
suicidal thoughts.
joke or not. at
I have no
first.
suicidal thoughts. I just want to make that clear now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, John McAfee said the same thing shortly before.
Dude, that was terrifying. When I heard about that, I was like, what? He was crazy, but like,
No, he was crazy in a badass way, like the main character in a superhero movie kind of way.
A super villain movie where the villain's the hero.
Yeah. Or
Protagonist.
he's like John Wick. He's the actual John Wick, basically.
Yeah.
what is this picture you sent us, Brian? It's just a bunch of gold.
Have you heard the story of those guys in Afghanistan that stumbled upon like a dumpster full of gold?
No, that's the
it
photo you
sounds
sent.
familiar.
I thought that's supposed to be a proof of reserve from Fort Knox. Not really a lot of gold there, Brian.
No, like seriously.
The gold's here, guys. We're good. Here's a picture.
They were at like Saddam's, I don't know, somewhere, and they literally stumbled upon a dumpster full of gold bars. Isn't that crazy?
Why was it in a dumpster?
How else are you gonna move? Yeah. How
They
else
wanted
you
the
gonna move
oil
it?
instead.
That's
Right?
true.
They wanted the oil instead.
Hey,
Yeah,
no, Tyler, there's weapons of mass destruction there, clearly. All right? Come on, dude. That was not a false narrative. There's
government
the
would never
oil
lie
was
to
a
us.
side piece. The oil was a side piece. The oil was after the fact. We didn't even know there was oil there until we got there. We're like, oh crap, there's
It was
oil.
all upside.
We're on conspiracies tonight, guys. We're on the conspiracy.
I heard in a conspiracy that they went for opium and like other drugs that were readily
Pretty valid.
available there.
Opium's good.
Well, they
Opium's
told them they could
impossible.
grow it, and the U.S. government would not interfere. I know that. So
Yeah, the whole Iraq war thing was such a freaking I mean, not to go political, but it was such a misstep from the U.S.
No,
government.
it was. Honestly, that's something that, and
I think there was a South Park episode where I don't know, it might have been South Park, might have been someone else, where they're like, okay, well, you know, the people that the terrorists were from one country, so we're gonna invade a different country. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
what?
It's the American thing to do. No, but I'm gonna bring up the book again. Broken Money, Lynn Alden's book. She mentions that. She talks about how the Iraq War was one of the moments where, like the reason we're in such a financial pickle has a lot to do with the Iraq War being primarily funded with debt, and how it like really accelerated how much debt we currently have to this day. Like
and it created the authoritarianism that we have never experienced through the NSA, through all of the governmental overreach that but it all ties back to crypto and sort of these, call them crypto anarchist, libertarian viewpoints of keep the big brother the hell out of our technology, out of our money. But
and those same cypherpunks has said the same thing about like Bitcoin being accepted by the government now, and like these strategic reserves are just like, why are you guys cheering? Everyone's like, they're like, why are you cheering? Like they're like, we don't want these people in our business. But two, it's like, I guess like everyone's like hoping for like more government regulation, more oversight, where the cypherpunks are just like, no, like they're like eating, Sorry, Brandon, go ahead. I cut you off.
No, I was just going to say, Tyler, some of our conversations around the groups around that time are right. In fact, many of them came out of, the different agencies and places. They were like, this is insane. This is not good for humanity. Right.
Yeah.
While we're on the conspiracy thing, what also happened during 9/11, I can never remember. Tyler, you remember, but there was a huge release, or it's supposed to be a huge release of
the day of or the day after. What was it? $3 billion that went unaccounted for, and
3 trillion.
Trillion. With a T.
Trillion.
Whoops.
And it basically went up in flames when the Pentagon was hit.
So coincidental. Wild.
Yes. Yeah.
And at some point, there's enough fact patterns that conspiracies at least go into like, no, we should be looking here. There's enough things that, coincidence is now thrown out. Like literally statistically, it's
improbable.
Out.
Yeah.
Correct. To where there's something. Does that mean that it's the conspiracy that's been concocted? Maybe not, but it's somewhere in there.
Some form. Yeah. It's somewhere in between.
Yeah. What we were told is not the true narrative.
It's not.
But they did find their passports. They did. I'm just saying. If you can believe it or not, they did find their passports.
Well, they are, guys. See, look.
I was like, yeah.
God.
Quez is like, I'm turning my camera off and getting the fuck off the screen.
Yeah, but the problem is his name is Q.
Oh wow. He comes back.
He just disappears.
Also, so we talked about Fort Knox. How about we talk about, since we're on it, why don't we talk about the fact that the Federal Reserve has never been audited?
Yeah.
We need to take them by their word, though, Brandon. We can trust them. We can trust Powell, the money printer. It's there. They're chugging along just fine, buddy.
You mean the ledger's written in pencil?
Yes, of course. It's scribed. They have scribes there that sit there and write it all. Yeah.
But there's also a special
They
type
wear
of,
robes. They wear like Roman esque robes, and they sit there, with a little feather and ink, and they write. That's all.
You know, I would actually enjoy if that's what we found out, that it was still happening. Like, that would be a great docuseries.
It's like an old guy with a gray beard.
We had
Just
no
like,
idea, but that's actually what was happening.
Yeah.
In the Federal Reserve. You're like,
I like to think the episode that South Park portrayed of the Federal Reserve, I'd like to think that's fact. I like to think that that's exactly how they figure the economy out. They leave it up to fate.
I haven't seen it. What's the TLDR?
Okay, so essentially the way the Federal Reserve makes decisions is they have a council. They have the board, the Federal Reserve Board, and they all sit above this like game board kind of, and they basically take a live chicken, they cut its head off and chant a bunch of chants, and they throw it, and like one guy plays like this little like flute as the chicken's body walks around, and then whatever the body lands on, that's the decision they make. And so he's just like during the episode, I think it was Stan. Yeah, Stan or Kyle was there. It was Stan, I think. And he's just like, what's going on here? And like he walks in and they're just like, oh yeah, we're priming up for a decision, like a voting on the decision. And they like do the ritual, and the chicken lands on bailout, and they're like, oh, time to vote for bailout. Bailout goes through, bail out the banks. It was so funny. Stan's like, fuck this. Stan's
the irony is that the decision making is on par with that level of planning where they cut the head of the chicken off and they let it run and pick what they're going to do.
Yeah. The episode was actually really good at describing the 2008 financial crisis. Like the way the episode revolves around the fact that Stan's dad used a loan to use credit to fund his Margaritaville margarita mixing machine. And the whole episode, Stan's trying to return it because his dad can't afford it. And every time he goes to the creditors, they're like, oh, well, no, we borrowed money ourselves from these guys to get the loan for the margarita machine. So you can't return it here. You have to go to the bank. And then the bank's like, oh, well, we borrowed it from these guys. And then like Stan basically works his way up to the Federal Reserve. And that's where he discovers that it's all just like a big Ponzi. Like it's all just a big nothing burger.
They did a very similar episode with the United States healthcare system. If you've seen that one.
Yeah. I love South Park. Those guys are geniuses, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I love them so much.
They're smart. I mean, speaking of just future telling or conspiracy, awareness, the Simpsons, man. I mean, Simpsons have been like predicting
They have
stuff
a high hit rate.
however long ago. It's a little
scary. It's a little scary.
How like
having the same scene with Trump coming down the escalator, like the same exact scene.
Yeah.
That was wild.
Yeah.
Someone's a time traveler and no one's telling us.
I believe
There's conspiracies about that. There are. I've seen them. That's weird. Anyway, if you make 10,000 guesses, you're probably gonna be right occasionally. So
True.
So the reason this all ties back to DePIN is
the reason
exactly. I was going to say, do we have any final? This has been a great DePIN.
Are we done?
Focus
We didn't
space.
even talk about the DePIN stuff.
I was going to say final takes on DePIN, and I know because I know that we're going to keep this conspiracy conversation going after the stream's over, so I do want to keep talking about it. So I want to end
talk about
now.
who Satoshi is.
So I'm not staying up until 1 a.m. like hanging out with the boys, talking with you guys, because my wife will kill me. So I do want to give some.
We can have a Satoshi chat. If Brian wants to invoke the Nazareth, we can go there.
Invoke the Nazareth.
Oh man.
Anyway.
All right.
Yeah, so we're gonna wrap it up here. Tyler, so wrap up how these conspiracies tied back to DePIN.
He'll do it.
It's all more or less a scam at the top, at the highest level. So everything that's happening in DePIN, whether it's or just crypto in general, like all this creativity, even the creativity that has more or less nefarious purposes is probably less problematic than what is happening at a macro level that people are unaware of. That's my hot take.
Really solid take.
There you go. And Brandon
Wes is disgusted. He's like,
No, I fully agree. 100%.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah,
That's
well,
Brandon's take. He agrees. Wes?
I don't have a hot take. I guess I'll just plug in. I'm doing a interactive quiz on 375 AI tomorrow morning.
Interactive quiz.
No, quiz.
That's marketing right there. Let's go.
Quiz.
Oh,
you
man.
should spell it
The
differently.
similar,
You should
know?
do interactive quiz.
100% you should.
An interactive
thought-
quiz.
You have to. You have to
I
do
feel
that.
like I would be. You guys remember that game of the operator where he's like on the board? And
Yeah.
You have to like pull in like that. That's what I feel like that interactive quiz would be like.
You have to do that. We
bit
we
too
brought it
personal.
into the ether. If you don't do it now, you're gonna look really, really lame. You have to do it now.
The pressure's on. But yeah, come hang out in the 375 AI Discord server. If you want a direct link, I will send you one. So that's your call to action to DM me. Yeah. Love you guys. You're the best.
I have a request after Quez's quiz comment. Can crypto or like at least DePIN get away from Discord?
Interesting.
Oh my gosh. I actually agree on that.
Zoom in on his face.
I actually kind of agree on that.
Quez, this is not a knock to you guys. Everybody's in Discord. I lament
struggling
going
lately.
to Discord. I just avoid it. And I have people that like DM, and I'm sorry, by the way, if you're in any of the Discord servers that I'm in and asking me questions, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just busy. I just think it's such a cesspool of. It's just we need to do something different.
Would you rather carry a pigeon, sir? Carry a pigeon?
Like you sort of have to because everybody expects you to, right? This is not a knock on Quez what you guys are doing by any means. Please don't interpret it as such. But I just think like we need to do something different as an industry because it's. I feel very strongly for.
Shall we write you or phone you?
Who
Should we
owns
phone you?
Discord, Tyler?
Doesn't Amazon own it?
No.
No?
Yeah, who owns
No.
Discord? Let's look it up.
They're
I don't know.
they're still owned by their original founders. Like and Microsoft tried to buy them out like 20 billion or something like that. 2
Jason
years ago.
Citron
20 billion?
and Stan
That's cool.
Vishensky. I can't pronounce that. Vishnevsky.
Brandon's like disappointed.
Okay.
No, that's
I
not
don't know.
correct.
Who owns Discord?
That,
The
might,
names?
It's a privately owned company.
that will be who you see.
A Chinese company, Tencent?
Correct.
Really?
Wait,
Owns
Tencent owns
Discord?
it? Oh shit!
Correct. And do you know how much scraping is happening?
Oh, Tencent does a ton of scraping, dude.
Oh man.
So
That-
all of the
All
it's-
the like
yes.
proprietary
Yes.
/ confidential
Yes.
information that's being
Yes.
shared with all these things,
Thank you.
let alone the freaking
why I
scammers or the fact that there's like 97 channels or servers that you're in, and then each server has like 30 channels. You get like it's
Yep. So
overload.
China's the biggest node. China's the biggest node player.
I did not know that.
They win the node competition. They're the largest node.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's also why we put nothing that is not public in our Discord.
Yeah,
Why don't we just
Smart.
get rid of it?
I would love to, honestly.
like
I
Just
I don't-
say,
you-
just say we're not doing it. Just get rid of it.
if you want to have a chat to hang out, but like using Discord for everything, for support tickets, for people, it's just I don't I fucking hate it. Like
Same.
I
It's
hope
terrible.
you can. I loathe it. I hope you can feel how much I want to eviscerate Discord, like oozing from my pores as I talk about it. I know everybody does it, and it's sort of a right. You have to do it because
You
it's
don't
just
have
what
to.
people are doing. But
You
my
do
God, I
kind of.
just-
You do have to
I
do it. Kind of.
detest it.
No, I detest
No,
it too,
it's-
Tyler. I think honestly we should be either doing like proprietary, like people should like build in that community function into their, like their websites. I think and just like own all that data if they can, like have like run their own servers and everything. I know it's a lot to ask for a lot of people, especially when you have like a lot
that's
of
a
foot
very
traffic.
deep set of features to be asking people focus
Yeah.
on.
But that's
Yeah,
it.
really-
This game native
No, he-
on your conduit core.
Say it again.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Wait, what's conduit, Brandon? What is that?
I mean, here's
I'm still reading about it.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Get educated.
without
That's why it's next to your name.
Reviewing the docs right now.
No, Helium support is pretty good on their website. If you've ever had to use it, it actually works very well.
I think support should go through a website. I mean, we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. Like Web 2 companies have been doing this for a really long time. Like there are support systems in place. Like you've most likely used one. There's a ton of companies out there. And then if you want to have a channel just for people to shoot the shit and chat about what you're building or to kind of share ideas, you don't need like 75 channels in a server to do that. Let alone for like governance and voting things. I don't know. I just think it's a mess.
They should outsource the support to those companies those same Web 2 companies that outsource support to the places in the world where the people say their name's John or Paul, but it's not really John or Paul, and that's your customer service support.
I have a lot of
that would be funny.
I have a lot of wearables that track my stress. I got the Kudos, I got all these other ones. I can see the spike on my stress tracker when I open up Discord because it is just that bad. Oh my god! And there's so many scams, and I want to.
Oh, dude, like I literally asked the question in the Nadix Discord like 2 days ago. Like I'm having a problem on my Nadix app right now where it's not dishing out rewards for me. It's tracking points I earn, but it's not allocating me any Nadix tokens, and I don't know why.
They don't like it anymore.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know, right? So I like mentioned that, and I'm like, calmly mentioning this, and like I opened a support ticket and yada yada. But I mentioned it in the general chat, and as soon as I did, one of the mods like replied. But then I got a friend request from someone who was faking, like someone who's impersonating that mod immediately, and I was like, what the hell? Like this is scary for people that don't really know better. Like I of course like read the usernames and everything. I'm like, okay, well that's not the same person, obviously. And also don't really accept friend requests on Discord anymore for that reason, because those links and shit. It's scary, dude. Discord's terrifying. Discord's absolutely terrifying.
I will agree that the Discord environment is open to a lot of attack vectors. And then not to mention the newly found information that it's also owned by Tencent. So I have a pretty good idea where all that data is going.
Hey, Tencent's keeping your data safe, man. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, 100%.
We deployed a fully open source enterprise stack conduit because part of these we wanted to eat our own dog food, right? But everything's self-hosted, and we are using zero centralized services in any way. And I've actually been really, really impressed with a lot of the open source tooling to like build this stack. And so our thought and our hope here is like part of it is hard to put together and then deploy it, right? Like hard for most people, right? But if you could solve that with on-prem hardware and then create an open source app store, which is a one-click button deploy. Now you're keeping everything locally. You have no issues with and you can do redundancy, encrypted redundancy across, right? That's not a problem for backups. But now everything's local. But like as an example, I mean, we use this constantly. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with Mattermost.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So like we have an installed self-hosted deployment behind all of our security walls, and so everything is off from again because I've refused to do the same thing with Slack or anything else.
Yeah,
any of our internal comms, I want to completely protected, and so it's more viable than what people think. But I think what we need to get to is just more of again like that app store approach where it's like a one button deploy. And then you get all the sovereignty within it. And then we should be putting more community funding towards open source software. And I don't just mean Web 3, I mean Web 2 as well, like open source software.
Yeah.
For communication platforms, yeah.
All of them.
Because like, look, for all of its defects and its problems, I have to say, maybe I'm biased as a community manager, Discord has a lot of useful features.
Well, I mean, that's why it's so popular. You can't.
Why it's so great. I mean, it's so easy to spin up. I mean, is it difficult with the UX? Yes, I agree. Channel blow, it's also a big problem. But I mean, you got streaming, you got like stages, you got the integrated GIFs, which is like pretty common, but like customization out the wazoo with your own emojis and stickers. It's a lot of really interesting ways to curate conversations, to bring people who care about like this common thing in one room. So, Would it be better if we had this open source solution that could be localized and is protected? Yes, I wholeheartedly agree. But right now, like Discord is exactly what Brandon is describing in the sense of click, download, it's on my phone, now I can use it. And when that is solved with open source software, it's like then we could see something for real. But in the meantime,
I just wish we didn't like shove 72 different functions into the Discord server. So like, governance voting, chatting, support tickets, ideas, all this stuff.
Ideally, those things should be their own separate places. I do agree with that.
But Tyler, you're saying if it was just used as a community platform,
just to talk.
If you just went in there just to shoot the shit with people that have common interests, that's fine.
Yeah.
But the fact that like it's sort of expected as the default tool for every single service that's related to a
That's
project,
ridiculous. I agree.
in my opinion, is like it's just asinine.
Thank you for that delineation. That's good.
Nice.
And then ideally it should be ran. These different tools and services should be things that are obviously secure and ideally open source that people can contribute to. That's to me secondary, but
They should, so for voting on DPINs and stuff like that, for governance and everything, they should send ballots. They should send physical ballots to your address. I think that'd be pretty solid. Like keep it like democratic, like the way we do in America.
It's a proven system.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no faking that. Obviously, there's no faking that.
And on that bombshell, we'll see you next week.
The can of worms that you just opened up.
Well, yeah, I'm. Oh, look at that! Hello.
Can you say hi? Say hi. Say hi.
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 This is Noah.
It's
I know.
your bedtime.
Hey, Noah.
That's Noah's bedtime.
Wait, it's only like 7 o'clock there, right? 7:30 or 8:30 there.
We are very strict on bedtimes, Will.
Yeah.
You'll realize this when you have kids. It helps you a lot to keep them very structured, at least early on, because then they just
Just let them run wild.
Don't. If they go to bed late, they wake up early. If they go to bed early, they still wake up early. So you put them to bed early, and then you have time with your wife.
Yeah, you get time to prepare and have time with you. That makes
And when they go to bed late and wake up early,
they're cranky the whole day.
Yeah, it's a yeah. Yeah.
Noah's like, yeah, you caught me.
No, I'm not supposed to be in bed.
Love that.
Right,
guys, I got your hats coming soon. Hats and
Do you need my address?
Brandon,
I have them all in your respective DMs, but we'll be.
Wait, why I gave you my address?
I don't think you got my DM, but
What?
Yeah.
Which address should I
give
give you? That's the question.
On the TG.
Did we send it on Discord through 10 cents thing or?
Probably.
Smart. Brandon, if you want some gear too, I'll send you some. You let me know.
Yeah.
Huh?
Swag.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, hell yeah, right?
We'll all be on there doing a 375 AI stream with all hats on. Then
Nice.
we'll bring Harry on. It'll be awesome.
We'll do the tradesies. When we send
There you
out, we'll send it your way. So that'll be good. Let's do the tradesies.
Nice.
Tradesies.
Yeah.
Love it. Sharing is caring.
I'm sending my address right now just so you have it.
Okay.
I don't think
You guys ready to wrap this thing up?
All
Yeah,
right.
I mean those are solid final takes. Does Noah want to say good night to the
Brian
listeners, the
I don't know
watchers?
if Brian had a take, or Will. I don't know if you also said yours.
I just agreed with Tyler's. I'm feeling pretty lazy today.
Ditto. Okay.
Yeah.
Tyler
take a turn.
did the bulk of the work this episode.
Show up late, make some comments.
Who was later, Quez or Tyler? I think
I was. That was the last one.
That's all right. You're always the last one.
I am. Yes. I'm just
I have
getting
worries
home
in my.
gym, and I'm thinking like, okay, if I leave at 8:30, I'll make it on time. And then it's like 8:36, and it's like, well, now I'm 6 minutes late for sure.
I have a question for the group. Has anyone had contact with Corey's? Okay.
I honestly have not heard from him outside of talking to him about like some spaces we have planned in the future, like some stuff we're doing together. But that was like 4 days ago, so I am a little worried about Corey. I messaged that we missed him.
He does live in California, and I don't think, to my knowledge, he painted his roof blue. So
Wait, painted your roof blue?
Continue the kids. I love it.
I just had to throw one more little conspiracy.
Yes.
Wait, why would you paint your roof blue?
We'll talk about it offline.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk about it offline. Here, that's what you heard it here, folks. Don't paint your roof blue, or paint your roof blue.
No, do. Okay, definitely.
Oh, that's funny, Tyler. Do
Well, I guess it depends, but
no DEW.
yeah.
All right, be
now
on the
I'm lost
lookout
on
for all that DePIN news, guys. Be on the lookout for those chemtrails. Let's see if Fort Knox has the gold. If not, we'll see what happens. You're still mining. We're still grinding. Everyone have a good night. We'll catch you next Thursday, 9 p.m.